Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TbT channel, and this is part 2 of tuning your Diana side lever air rifle. In part 1 we've taken the gun apart. Here in part 2 I'm going to show you what to do inside of the gun, what we're going to put inside of the gun if we want to increase the power, and other things that you should know inside of here. Right. First of all, this is the 56, the 48 and the 52 are standard air rifles. The 54 and 56 have a sled system, which means it's semi-recoilless. Now this is these parts here. These parts of brass are on runners. So the first thing you need to do is make sure it's moving smoothly. There are circlips at each end, and it is possible just to pop the circlip off, take out the bar, and then you can clean it and re-lube it if necessary. This one is moving very smoothly, that's fine. A small drop of sewing machine oil on that rod and worked in when we come to rebuild is all it's going to need. This one here shouldn't be able to move it because it's on a spring-loaded ball detent. So with my brass hammer onto there, tap it off there, and you can see that's moving, and you can see inside of there is a small detent. Underneath this one there is a spring-loaded ball, and when that goes into there it locks into place. If you have problems with that, again, you can take the circlips off these two bars and take it out clean and check it. We have our piston. The piston is going to be polished. I am going to polish the piston now, which was easy because I've got a lathe. But the way you do it if you haven't got a lathe is put it into the jaws of a cordless drill, spin it up with medium wet and dry, fine wet and dry, and then some auto sol at the end. Also at the same time make sure that the latch rod is central and that the piston doesn't oscillate. Bend it back into shape if it does. That's the piston. Now we need to degrease the inside of the compression tube, because every time we take the piston out of the compression tube we have to degrease inside of it, because any tiny amounts of grease that get inside of there will get pushed by the seal to the end and diesel away like billy-o. So we'll just push that down inside. Now here's the thing with the Dianas, okay, and this is an opinion, and you know I always say about opinions, everybody's got their own. Some people have got all the muck inside of there, bloody oil everywhere. People are going to disagree with me, but this gun is not, repeat, not suitable for 12 foot-pounds. This one's got an F mark on it. I mentioned it in the should I buy one of these videos. Oh, sorry, that's a bit noisy, wasn't it? Put the microphone back up there so I don't drop it on the floor and lose it. They're expensive. This is a gun designed to run at really 20 foot-pounds. It's where it wants to be. It's where it's designed to be. For the UK, for 12 foot-pounds, they put a restrictor in this. I'm going to show it to you because it's in here. Now, I've been told by the gun shop not to do anything apart from get it working, because the guy doesn't want any extra money spending on it. But you're not going to be able to see. Fancy bit of editing coming up. I'm going to show you down inside of this. We'll see if we can do some close-up work. Bear with. Now, down inside of there, what you can see, that tiny hole in the centre is the restricted transfer port. And then the flat area to the outside, and the outside part is actually the breech seal. That tiny little hole in the flat bit next to it is a restrictor washer. That's how they keep it under 12 foot-pounds. The drawback of using that to keep it under 12 foot-pounds is you've got a bloody great piston here and a bloody great stroke. You've got a lot of air being pushed out of that tiny little hole. And what a ridiculous amount of air being pushed out that tiny little hole. And what it effectively does is stop it from escaping to keep the power down, but the gun hits a cushion of air, bounces back, hits a cushion of air, bounces back, hits a cushion of air, bounces back, all the way down the tube. You can't feel each individual one because it's happening in milliseconds, but the net result is it's bloody horrible to use at 12 foot-pounds. It mitigates it. Having it on this Sled system mitigates that, okay? Makes it less noticeable because the recoil that's going on is isolated from the stock and the user. But in a 48 and 52, it's just plain nasty. What you need to do is get that washer out. The easiest way to do it is with the rod from the back, push it through, just push it through, and it'll push the washer and the breech seal out. You get your restrictor washer, you throw that in the bin, and you put your breech seal back in, and that's it. It's opened up to the size it needs to be for the gun to work. The only problem is, even if your gun was running at 10.5 foot-pounds before taking that restrictor out, without any other thing happening, without changing anything else, it's suddenly going to be up over 15. So this gun, for that reason, I've said it before, it's not suitable for the UK. You can sleeve it down. That's okay. A sleeved one is a very nice rifle, but it's an expensive rifle to start spending even more on, in my opinion. You can short stroke them, but I can't supply short stroke kits for home fitting because of this anti-bear trap system. It's great, but you put a short stroke on there, it's hit and miss whether it's going to be in the right place, and it just creates problems with the anti-bear trap. So I stopped doing them, and realistically you want to be using this over the UK limit. It needs to be an FAC in the UK gun, or if you're in the free world, you just use it at the power it's designed to be used at. Moaning over. Now, the kit that we supply for this, there is only one. Okay, now the first thing you're going to notice, I'm just going to open up the grease baggie here, because the first thing you're going to notice with this kit is that it is the only kit we do that comes with two slip washers. That is because we've got a recess in the trigger unit there. I used to make very similar to this one, a guide with a recess on it, but that can create issues. So we just supply two slip washers now because that's the right size to fit in there. So you put one slip washer there, and the other one goes in the piston as normal. Also, you will notice the flange that comes with this one is this one here. It's got a lot deeper shoulder on it, and I'll show you for why. I'm going to take the guide out. Now the guide's going to be tight in here, so it's a clockwise twist to put them in or out. If it's in too far, or you can't get a grip, or for whatever reason, you just get a screwdriver, put it across the spring underneath it like that, and then hold it all together, twist the spring, and it pushes it out like a corkscrew. Okay, so that's how you get tight guides out. But the spring expands outwards by 0.4 of a millimetre in full compression, so tight out of the gun is the correct fit in the gun for this spring. Again, I'm digressing. We'll put all that to one side, but I'll show you for why we have the deep flange on this one. I'll put that all the way into there. It is because when we put this together, this is our reduced power Magnum spring. Okay, I did a video on this when we first developed this kit, a year or two back, when we first started getting these springs. And I started off with the full length one. It wouldn't all fit in there in my particular gun. It might in this, I haven't checked. There's no need. There's no need because this one, that fits in there like that. There is very, very little preload. With this spring fitted into two, you've got a 19 foot-pound gun immediately without anything else doing to it. 19 foot-pound. You can start mucking around with it if you want to get a little bit more power, but It's an easy cocking 19 foot-pound gun. Why make your life difficult? Why make it more difficult to cock? Why make it more difficult to rebuild for the sake of another foot-pound or two? Oof. So I've decided to leave it at that one, but we had to use the extra deep flange there to give it enough preload that it wouldn't break, because what can happen is if there's not enough preload, when the shot cycle's over, the spring shuffles backwards and forwards, and that can break the flange off. So we just made them a little bit deeper for this kit, just to add preload. It's not, people think, oh, it's to make it stronger. It doesn't really make it any stronger, because the fail is still the fail. It will fail at the same pressure. It's just to add the preload. I was telling people to add both of the preload washers, but if people forgot, it'll break the guide. So that gets around that. And that's it. I'm rambling again. I'm going to rebuild this gun in the next video. I'm going to rebuild this gun, not with this kit though, but we'll get on to that because we're dealing with somebody who wants this one put back in. Look how much longer that spring is. I don't know what power the gun's actually doing with that extra length spring, but I know it'll be a lot less than properly done with this one, because it's got the restrictor in there, etc, etc, etc. Please like, subscribe, hit notifications. Thank you very much for watching. Catch me in the next one. Goodbye.